What up, what up, what up? It's your favorite shit-talking squirrel, back for the YouTube video. So we got a couple of wacky and zany Middleton hearings for you in Landlord tenant court. Yeah. People be people. You'll see. But yeah, this should be fun. I won't bury the lead, we'll just jump into it, so let's get this.
All right, our next matter is Terry and Larry Richmond versus Paula Williams and it's Kedrick, not Kendrick, I think. He's here and she's here. And Mr. Andrew Rognus is here on behalf of the defendants, of the Richmonds. This was filed as a termination of tenancy. The Richmonds were seeking to terminate it. They started this action. Miss Uring indicated she didn't want to move. She wanted to actually purchase the house. The parties were put in a breakout room. There was some discussion, but no resolution. The defense, I think, with the assistance of legal aid, although legal aid did not file an appearance, filed an answer and defenses.
Your Honor, I can speak to legal aid's
All right.
status. We have, speaking of bureaucracy a few minutes ago, particular procedural requirements from the Legal Services Corporation that no single attorney can decide to take or not take a case. So I did an intake with Ms. Uring, but have not been able to present her case to my colleagues based on the turnaround time. So I, by regulation, cannot appear on her case at this time, but am fully prepared to present her case at our next case planning meeting.
Somebody else. I know. They can't mess
Should
with
there
you.
still be a case, of course.
Okay.
Mr. Rognus, what's your position?
Your Honor, in this particular circumstance, we have a lease that's dated January 20th, 2014. It was a one-year lease that expired January 20th, 2015. I had to do some research, but there is a case called Frenchtown Villas versus Meadors that says when your lease has expired, the defense of retaliatory eviction is not available, and that cites 117 Mishap 683, and it's page 689, the last page of that case that makes that holding. And in this particular circumstance, their lease has expired. They only raised the issue of retaliatory eviction recently. This is the actual second hearing. They asked for a bench trial. This is the bench trial.
Your Honor, that case also distinguishes the difference between the end of a termination brought at the end of that one-year lease and leaves open in its dicta that this, or is very clear that that opinion does not apply to retaliation as a defense in a month-to-month.
Well, Your Honor, I guess I'd have to say in response, page 4 of the lease specifies if the tenant continues to occupy, it does not constitute a renewal. They are on a month-to-month basis, so it's subject to being terminated.
Say whatever you want.
Miss Uring, is there anything you wish to say?
That was it's casual.
Kedrick, I'll get to you in a minute. Miss Uring?
As I've said in the letter, there is no reason for me to be terminated because I haven't did anything to the Richmond or anyone for me to be evicted from my household, from where I live at.
Well, as you indicated in the letter, their problem seems to be with Kedrick.
Yes, but Kendrick didn't do it, as I indicated in that letter. He didn't do anything. They wasn't. What they was discussing was about the where the temperature of the thermostat be set at. And as I tried to explain to that man, it would not go up past 65. Go up to 65, it won't come on. And they can come over here now and they can check to see the thermostat do not go up there. So they was going back and forth, and the man left. There was nothing else did or said between Kendrick and Larry's worker.
Well,
So,
Your Honor, my client informs me that Kedrick not only threatened their employees and their subcontractors, threatened Larry's son and threatened Larry himself.
He did not. He haven't threatened no workers of Larry. Him and Larry. He did talk to Larry last year, year before last. But he did
All
not.
right.
He haven't threatened no workers of Larry because he ain't seen no workers of Larry.
all right, Kedrick, what's your position?
My position, my mom should have a new renewal lease because Mr. Richmond had an agreement. I was signing over my $600. I was not staying there no more in March. I was living in a hotel and out the shelter. I signed my $600 half of my deposit over to Mr. Richmond so he could make my mom a new lease so it could just be her on the lease. I shouldn't even be on this case anymore because I signed over my $600 right to Mr. and to my mom. So my mom shouldn't be up under eviction with me no more because I signed my rights away. I moved out of his house and I signed my $600 over to my mom. He had my mom to write a letter stating that I signed my $600 over to her. So my mom should be he should be writing my mom a new lease, but he never got around to writing my mom a new lease. I guess my mom say that the lady said she don't need a new lease because it's just going to play out. But it say on that month to month, but she's supposed to get a new lease because my name should have came off that original lease that was made in 2015 because I signed my name off it. But
All
I
right,
never
so
get
your contention is you've already moved out, but your concern is for your mother.
Yes. That's why I said if he don't even want to come to a conclusion, I would even willing to try to buy the house, get a lender.
All right, Mr. Rognus, does that change any of your client's position?
Not really, Your Honor. My clients indicated to me that this has been a troublesome lease for the last several years.
With who?
The rent's always consistently late.
Excuse me, sir.
Legal. I mean, when Keystone Place was paying the rent, that was about the only time it was ever caught up and current.
I have never, sir.
Stop. I'll give you a chance to speak.
And at this point in time, Your Honor, the lease has expired. And they don't want to renew the lease. I mean, if it's an issue, she did indicate previously to my clients that she was going to be moving out June 1st. Obviously, that hasn't happened. If we're in a scenario where she's in the process of getting moved out, that's probably more beneficial.
And why did I tell your clients tell you why?
All right, stop. All right, stop. Miss Uring, now what do you want to tell me?
Okay, I called them and told them.
Just a minute. Gary, I'm going to mute your microphone.
I called Larry and them and told them that I was trying to get out of there by June 1st, but I tried to find a place for the dog, and I didn't want to take the dog and put the dog down because the only shelter there was the kill shelter because I couldn't find no place for King to go. All the shelters were filled up because I didn't want to kill the dog, and I didn't have.
I don't blame you there.
And I didn't have no place for King to go. So I was still in the process trying to find a place for this dog to go without having to put him to sleep for no reason at all. He's not a violent dog or anything.
Okay.
And I haven't, my rent was never behind with Larry. And then what happened was I asked Larry, can I pay my rent twice a month, half and half? She told me yes. So that's how my rent was being paid. It first started off being paid all at one time. And then she told me that I asked her, can I pay half at the beginning of the month and half at the end? She told me yes, that's how my rent was going until Keystone paid for me this year, and I paid Larry them each time. I have not been behind on my rent.
Well, this isn't about being behind on the rent.
I'm talking about I'm talking about in response to what their lawyer said. My rent was only going that way because I asked them, can I do it like that? And they told me.
Your
Well,
Honor,
your lease
yes,
is
I did
up.
discuss the
And
matter
they
with.
never, I don't need to hear anymore.
Okay,
Ms. Furing, you got 10 days to move or you're subject to being evicted. You can appeal this.
Middleton. So what? So him signing my name off the lease and her getting a new lease, you can't hold him up to that agreement. So he
No,
just
nothing was placed in writing. Ted, you're already gone, so no, they don't want to do it.
he
And they want
accepted.
their house back.
He did it. What I'm telling you, Mr. Middleton,
Well, he did do it.
did. He
All
have my
right.
mother's
I
signature.
heard what you said. The law is not in your favor. I didn't make this up. That's just how it goes. They want their house back and they don't wish to have you guys as tenants. And whether I like it or not,
Judge, will you clarify?
When can I appeal this decision?
within the next 10 days.
All right, because I don't understand that.
Well, they have a lease. It's expired. It's month to month. They asked you to move in
This
April.
is what I'm saying, Mr. Middleton. She's supposed to have a new lease in April. He accepted.
I understand, but you don't have a new lease. And don't interrupt me again or I'm going to remove you from the feed. You don't have a new lease. They don't want you as a tenant. They've been asking you to move since April. You told them you were going to move on July 30th, June 30th, and you did not.
Stop.
I find that this is not plausible under retaliatory eviction under the case cited by Mr. Rognus, Frenchtown. And they want their house back. They don't have to keep you as a tenant if they don't want to. I don't have to agree or disagree, but this is the second hearing. You have 10 days to move by July 13th and 10 days to appeal it. Ms. Bauer is here. She heard everything that was said. And so otherwise you should prepare to be evicted. All right.
Judge, can I
All right.
clarify? You're saying the defense of retaliatory eviction does not apply in this circumstance
Yes.
based on the case that Attorney Rogers
Yes.
cited. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Nice to see you, Andy.
yep, we'll see you later on, Meg.
All right. Oops, I accidentally removed Meg instead of Mr. Lockwood, can you hear me? Mr. Lockwood, can you unmute your mic?
Okay. All right.
All right, good afternoon.
Hi.
Okay, this is file 23798LT. It's entitled Vernon and Ellen Castle versus Gary Lockwood. Mr. Lockwood, who's there with you?
Blank Heather Leffler.
Your girlfriend?
Who's that? Heather Leffler. She lives there also?
Yeah, she's here. Yeah, she lives here.
All right. This is your Uncle Vernon's house, and he wants you to move out.
Right.
It's on 131.
Yeah.
And Mr. Robert Dutka is here on behalf of the landlord, who happens to be your uncle.
Right.
And let me advise you what your rights are. So, all right, just a moment. As a defendant in a landlord-tenant proceeding, including termination of tenancy, which is what this is, you have the following legal rights. You have the right to obtain counsel for representation in this matter. If you cannot afford an attorney, a legal aid attorney may be available to help you. And she was here, but I accidentally removed her. You have a right to a trial by a jury or by the court. If the action is for non-payment of rent, which this isn't, it would go in a different direction. If the plaintiff is agreeable, the Citizens Mediation Services, Inc. may be available as a possible source of case resolution. If both parties are interested, the court can help set it up. If the plaintiff, or excuse me, if you do reach an agreement with the plaintiff and a consent judgment is entered by the court, you would waive the rights listed above but have the following additional rights. The judgment may not be enforced until 3 business days had passed. You could move to set aside the judgment within those 3 days if you misunderstood what you consented to, what you were waiving. Your motion to set aside the judgment would be set for a landlord-tenant hearing in front of the judge. But if the judge, namely me, did not find in your favor, the original judgment would stand. Mr. Robert Duck is here on behalf of the plaintiff, as I indicated. This is filed as a termination of tenancy. The notice to quit was back in April. What's your position, Mr. Lockwood?
I'm very confused, sir,
Okay,
Because it was.
why?
because I've never had a lease at all. He got me this place because I was working with him at another house, going through a divorce, having a hard time. And he was actually helping me out. I didn't understand why we were having to go to court and all this, because he could have talked a few times and
All right, well, he wants you to move, and
I'm
he's asked
different,
you
it's
to
weird.
move since April.
right.
So what's your
He
position?
was giving us a runaround about how much he was selling the house for.
I want to pay him. As soon as I get money to pay him, I'm gonna catch everything up to him. I don't.
He's not asking you to pay any money. He's just asking you to
No,
move
but
out.
I
Yeah, but
offered to
for me,
buy-
it's like a
I
weird thing.
offered to,
So I was just put here to get in trouble or something? Like people just put me here to get me in trouble? Because that's what he did. I had no lease agreement with him.
All right, well, do you pay any rent?
No.
he has been though, he has been.
I mean,
They
I
gave
did.
his-
I
his uncle
worked
his
for
little
him. I
check.
worked for him.
All
a
right,
little
all
bit.
right, all right. You have no lease, you don't pay rent, and he wants you to move. So this is the process you use to do that. So in the old days, you'd have 10 days to move or you'd be subject to being evicted. Now, you and your brother just got in a big fight. Was that at this house or was that someplace
sir.
else?
I was here. I was here. He hit me with the dresser
right.
door in the back of the head.
Well, he wants you
It
to
wasn't much of
move.
a fight, considering
You were walking.
I was
away.
walking away from him, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know what's confusing about this. You're living there. It's not your house. You don't own it. You're not paying rent. And he wants you to
Yeah, but
move
he put
away.
me here. I don't understand why he.
All
could
right,
put me
well, he
like
doesn't
that.
want you there anymore.
Well, it's
So
not
we're
his
gonna-
decision, right?
I'm buying the place, he can't, he's.
That's what we're getting at right here. Whose decision is it?
Well, it'll be mine in 10 days. I'm gonna continue this
Okay,
until
I'll be out here 10 days.
July 10th at 2:15. Now, Ms.
I'll be out
Lafleur,
of
can
here
you hear me?
I got you. Yeah. Yeah,
All
sorry.
right, now, I guess if you agree to sell it, but
But you want me
he
to sell it to
doesn't
him?
want you as a tenant. He wants you to move out. Maybe he can sell it to somebody that can actually buy it. I don't know. I know he's your uncle. I know he helped you in the past.
It's a real weird
But-
thing.
He's hired a lawyer to put you in a circumstance to move. He told you back in April, he wanted you to move.
I have morals.
and
I
haven't
believe in
moved.
moral
What?
science.
So I thought this whole moral science thing was gibberish, but it turns out it's a thing. Moral science may refer to consideration of what is best for and how to maximize the flourishing of either particular individuals or all conscious creatures. So, you believe in moral science, but you don't believe in one, paying your fucking uncle's rent, or two, leaving when he asked you to. So who's flourishing in this situation? Because it's not you. It's definitely not him.
Remember that.
Babe.
What's that?
I believe in moral science, sir. Remember that.
Well, okay.
We're not gonna have to move quicker, you dumbass.
It's okay. I'm just saying. I'm getting out of this.
Okay.
house. I don't have. I don't
All
know.
right.
I'll be out
Well,
here.
for both of you, you're obviously struggling.
I'm not sure.
Well, you're about to be homeless.
About to be fixed.
On July 10th, if he gets what he asked for, you're gonna have 10 more days to move.
I'm
How
gonna
many days?
ask this if you don't-
Get it.
Prepare to move by July 20th.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you next week, July 10th at 2:15.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I know that kid since he was in school. I knew both of his parents. He's got his wrestling shirt on. That was his high point of his life. But his uncle, that's his mother's brother,
Yeah.
apparently no longer wants him as a tenant. And he obviously disagrees. I think there are some other things going on here. They both got arrested for assaulting each other, and I'm not sure what the status of it is, but
Yeah, him and his brother. That's my understanding.
all right. Well, that'll give us something to look forward to next Monday at 2:15. I'm impressed that you're even in the office today. You should have taken this day off.
I should have. There was this case that
Well,
was,
you're self-employed. I don't know why you didn't take it off, but you can take the rest of the day off. How's that?
I'm gonna try. Yep.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
All righty. Thanks.
I left that last little bit in there just because I find Middleton so charming. It just put a smile on my face. But yeah, we'll definitely need to check in next week with Mr. Lockwood and do an update. Really unfortunate the state he has, found himself in. As I mentioned in the video, I don't understand how family lets things get to this point that the court needs to get involved to evict somebody. I don't know. I would try to work it out, or I would move. I can't see putting someone I care about through that. Both emotionally and financially, evicting someone costs a lot. Doesn't seem like he cares that much about him or leaving, to be honest, but I don't know. That's just my assessment. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next one, guys, alright? Adios.